Hello, my mystical travelers. How are you? It's me, Kirsten, and this is the It's Giving Mystical podcast. And this is your weekly podcast for the week of September 20th. So, we all just lived through that beautiful full moon eclipse, that beautiful Empress week. How did that land in everyone's world? If you had to shout one word back at me right now, what's the word you would toss back at me? There was so much energy there. And a real natural fatigue on the other side of it, and that's all right. Remember that eclipses are going to work their energy. This, call this the eclipse portal, right? It's between the full moon and the new moon. We just let things work themselves out in that 2-week window. We don't need to be the master of the universe during that time. We need to just keep following the instinct of what's right here. What's the next right thing to do? Stay with yourself. I will remind you of what I said. I think it was on Instagram. I talked about it in the full moon circle as well. If there's a buildup of pressure, because one of the things that this 8-year, one of the things that the eclipses are just really forcing us in the most loving way into alignment. People are not going to be able to function in that kind of armor of smoke and mirrors that they may have in the past, which means people are going to get called on their stuff. And there can be this pressure buildup because you are probably being called on your stuff in some way too. I heard my teacher, John Wineland, on Instagram, and he was saying this idea of integrity, right? Integrity is a sense of wholeness, right? A sense of alignment between who I want to be in the world and who I'm actually showing up as in the world. And what John said that I thought was so interesting was this idea that you will always be out of integrity. Right? So it's so easy to look at someone else and be like, well, they're out of integrity. But the question always comes back to you. The energy always comes back to you. And there is this desire in an 8-year to drop more fully into our bodies, to feel the sacred gift it is to be embodied, and to come to fuller alignment, fuller integration, fuller wholeness around what we're here to do. Why this song? Why this vibration? Why this being? Why this incarnation? And so this invitation that's coming in, asking you for deeper alignment, deeper integrity, more wholeness, it does beg the question, where are you out of alignment? Where are you out of an integrity? And not with this punishing, judging voice, but with this kind of sense of, what do I know I'm here to do? What do I care so deeply about? What am I in devotion to? What is clear in my life? Am I giving that the space it needs? We talked last night in Full Moon Circle about this idea of we run at a pace that does not suit our bodies. We really expect ourselves to perform in a way that often degrades or denigrates or desecrates the body. When was the last time you were running on too little sleep? Not enough water, not enough rest, not enough movement, not enough pleasure and sex, not enough art, not enough nature. When was the last time you were running thin in any of those areas? Maybe all of those areas. So this 8 years is really forcing us back into our bodies. This is so special. This idea of being embodied. We also talked about that last night. My cousin Maddie's talked about this in really beautiful ways, and it's something that keeps coming back to me, but this idea of embodied consciousness versus disembodied consciousness. I'm using ChatGPT to help me with some business stuff. It's fascinating, dude. It's so interesting and intelligent and fast. It gives you the information so fast. There's no lag. And there's something really beautiful about that. And there's something very disembodied about that. So remember that this Pluto through Aquarius transit that we're about to enter into kind of for a long stretch is really going to help us to understand this sense of how sacred it is to be in a body. Say all of that because when we're feeling that pressure in our bodies that something's out of alignment, something's out of integrity, we really want to be careful about where we put that energy. We want to be really careful about any stories or ideas that if someone else would behave differently, if I could just make them understand, if I could just get that thing done, then I would feel better. Sometimes, yes, sometimes there's a conversation that needs to be had. Sometimes there's something that needs to get taken care of. But sometimes we feel the pressure and we want that to be released. We want the comfort back. We want the edge of the discomfort taken away. And there's something about just owning the fact that if I'm feeling a buildup of pressure, this is a beautiful invitation to look around my own life and say, what's going on here? What do I need to be doing? Is it a conversation? Is it an action? Or is it an awareness? Or is it an action that maybe is not quite so sexy or exciting or alarming? Like maybe it's a really fundamental action. Personally, I really, really want this next chapter of my life to be soaked in art and joy. Like it sounds kind of cliche and silly, but it's really what my heart's calling for. It's really this kind of missing piece. And I had this invitation this morning that came into my space and I thought, oh, well, and I thought of all these other reasons why, like I shouldn't do it or why I had other things to do. And I literally caught myself checking myself and being like, Kirsten, you have been praying and wishing and setting intention and trying to manifest more art in your life. And this person is offering that to you. Are you going to like put your money where your mouth is a little bit? There's something about that that's just such a like, it's all so clear right now. And the Empress week, whatever that was for you, right? So if it's joy, laughter, art for me, what is it for you? Like, what is it for you? Again, like with such gratitude, with such a sense of, damn, man, it is good to be alive. Even in the hard moments, even in the beautiful moments, there's something so precious about being here in a body. Okay, sorry if that felt like a little bit of a lecture, but there's just something to notice about the ways that we're going to feel the buildup of pressure in these next 2 weeks and the habits we have around releasing that pressure and the awareness we have about how we might want to do that differently and just like having some kind of keeping that lens aware of where we're going to release the pressure and whether that's feeling good and nourishing and helpful and beautiful and loving or whether that's feeling harmful in some way, habitual in some way, reactive in some way. The card I pulled for us this week is the King of Wands. Now we know that I love a good fire king. I love the energy of fire signs. I love the beautiful. It has a little bit of a Sag flavor, the King of Wands. So it has that Sagittarius energy of excitement and passion and expansiveness and new frontiers and new horizons and life is sexy and it feels good and I'm just here to have a good time. Like it's a beautiful, beautiful energy. I love it. And there's also a shadowy side to this energy, right? Sagittarius is known for its truthfulness, but also its like bluntness. It's maybe lack of concern for how it lands. Like, oh, the truth is the truth. What? Or like, this is what I want to do. What? There's a sense of in the momentness to Sagittarius, which is and to King of Wands energy, which is beautiful and exciting and enlivening, and which can be hot, it can burn, it can cut, it can be burn up too much in the room, it can take over too much in the room, it can scar the materials in the room. So there's something about both and this week with the King of Wands. When the King of Wands comes shooting into our life, it's this beautiful invitation, we've talked about this before, to get clear on what lights me up, what I feel passionate about, what excites me, what's turning me on, and where my responsibilities lie. So the Wands energy is actually easier to hold with the Page and the Knight, and the Wands energy is easier to hold when we're in this realm of aces and twos. One of the signatures of the Wand suit is that the more you have of it, the harder it is to manage. And the King of Wands, we always say this, like he's still dreaming about his time as a knight. Like he's still dreaming about the times he was riding around the fields, making love to the maidens and like writing poetry and like getting drunk with his bros. Like he's still dreaming about that carefree time, right? His energy is so like back in the good old days kind of energy. And there's something about that that's like, yes, because you felt wild and free and that's a beautiful thing. And you don't have to lose that as you age. You can be very wild and very wise at the same time. And there's something about the King of Wands that's a reminder of that. Where are you off balance? Because dude, this guy is seeking balance and it's a tricky one. He's seeking balance between the part of me that is responsible and in charge and devoted and clear and trying to set an energy for the future. That idea of like takes a lot of discipline to be at ease. It takes a lot of discipline in the present moment to build towards the future you want. So yes, like enjoying the moment. Yes, presence. But also knowing that your presence in this moment is building a foundation, an atmosphere that is going to create additional echoes and atmospheres of that. Like there's momentum behind that movement that will create the future for you. And so the King of Wands has to remember that as he's, scooting around the meadows of the countryside having a grand old time. Yes, like you should be living and loving and excited and passionate. And also the pleasure dynamic of this moment needs to have some awareness of what is going to bring you pleasure and safety and good vibes, good feelings in the future, right? So we can have such a good time, party, and then we don't write the paper, and then we don't pass the class, and then we don't graduate, and then we can't move to France for our dream job. I don't even know, I'm just making this stuff up. No, I want to have a great time, but I also dream of a life working in France. How am I seeding that today? How am I cultivating the soil of my life to grow those future desires into reality, into fruition? How am I co-creating with the universe here and now to expand this moment, but also bring expansion into my future moments? So when the King of Wands floats into our week, it gives us the energy of the week, it can mean a few things. Like it can mean that you need more of that energy, right? It can say, where are you on that scale of overly responsible versus overly carefree? Like, how are you balancing those scales of what you're responsible for and what your heart's calling for? And how can you, again, like integrity, how can you bring those things closer into alignment? You can, like, I'll say this really clearly, you can create a life where your responsibilities and what your heart is calling for are aligned. You can live a life where you are devoted to things that light you up, that nourish you in return. It is possible. And the King of Wands is an invitation into owning that, like taking ownership for both of those things. So the King of Wands can be like an invitation to look at how you're balancing that. The King of Wands can also be someone else. Like the court cards can often be someone else in our life. So is there a dashing someone coming in and out of your life, either lighting up that part of you that's like, yes, I want more of that. I'm turned on by that. I'm excited by that. Or is it someone coming in that feels like a little irresponsible or a little like they burn a little bit? Going back to what we talked about last week with the devil and the empress as bedfellows, this idea of addiction, this idea of, feeling good in the moment, but at what cost? So is that kind of energy around you? Is that kind of energy within you? Is it a little bit of both? The King of Wands is a really high level request energetically to harness your wildness in devotion to your wisdom, in devotion to what you want to build forward. It should feel really good, but it can have like a loose, it's not quite integrity, but it can, or a lack of integrity, but it can have a kind of energy of like, this isn't trustable, or am I being told the truth? Or am I being kind of led off the garden path in a way that is actually not healthy? You can go off the garden path just because it's a hella good time. But this kind of energy is a little bit like being manipulated a little bit, or told a story that gets you to see things one way, or told a story that gets you to behave or believe something. So the King of Wands, in his best energy, he's keeping his youthful heart alive and also taking great responsibility for himself and for his life and for his kingdom. But the negative aspect of the King of Wands, or the medicine or the challenge he comes in with, is like an energy of being a little bit of a trickster energy. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes we need to be kind of teased into progress, teased into movement. But sometimes that's being misled and deceived a little bit. And that energy is definitely here with the King of Wands this week. So just real awareness around, like I was just saying before about integrity, maybe deception is somewhere in your space. Where? And can you, again, can we look at that and hold that with a real sense of like compassion and humility for what it means to be human? It's very hard to live a life where there's no fog, there's no confusion, there's no misdirect, there's no agenda. In the most innocent way, we all are trying to get what we need in different ways and to varied levels of healthiness. And so that's going to be part of your experience. It's also going to be part of your experience with other people. So we want to be really compassionate and gentle with ourselves in it. And also we want to be really accountable. And we all want to hold other people accountable. And like I said in the beginning, when you feel that pressure build, just pause and decide. Because if you need to have a conversation, or you need to make a decision, or you need to do something, that need will not go away. A reactive need will go away. It will fade. It will slow down. It will settle. It will, put in another direction. But a true need, a true thing that needs to happen in the world will stay until it is met, until it is completed. And you can ignore it for as long as you want, and you can try to coast around it for as long as you want. But if it's a true need in your heart, if it's something you really need in your body, your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit, it will stay. And so when we feel the impulse, if we can just wait with it, we'll know whether the impulse is coming from a place of forward momentum and growth and opening and love, or whether it's coming from a place of reactivity and fear and trying to just ease the discomfort of being a beautiful human in this beautiful world. King of Wands, charming and exciting and fun, and sometimes not very trustable. That's the most basic way to say it. And just notice that this week. Notice that for yourself and with other people. Humor is really going to help you in this, like having a sense of humor about it, not taking it so seriously. This is kind of like a love bombing energy on it. So like you want to just notice if that's coming into your space. Where are people kind of trying to charm you into not looking too closely? That's here with us. And maybe where are you doing that? That's here with us. And otherwise, just enjoy the beautiful freedom and expansiveness of this energy that, as it aligns with Sagittarius, is a really beautiful, expansive, joyful, exciting, inspiring vibe. And you just want to kind of keep that in a really grounded place. The King of Wands reminds you to keep that grounded, or it can spin off into all kinds of fantasy in a way that might not be totally helpful. All right, I send you so much love. Tarot Mystery School, if you haven't signed up with me and us, please, please, please come join us. We are going to have such an amazing time. There's going to be an activation and unfolding in your own life as it relates to what you are seeking to accomplish with tarot, what you are seeking to clarify with tarot. And it's going to be such a gift to yourself and a gift to the community if you join us. I hope you will. And otherwise, just sending so much love and enjoying the beautiful September weather. And, just like hang in there. Like I was saying in Circle last night, be gentle. These eclipse portals, if they call for nothing else, they call you to be gentle with yourself as you try to navigate life. Be gentle. All right, so much love. Check you later. Bye.